Today's question is France a Catholic country? Well, I used to think so. When I was younger, I studied abroad in France and I lived with a host family, and I remember asking my host mother at one point, when the subject of religion came up, what religion she was. She said without any hesitation, Moi, je suis catholique, as if it went without saying. She warned me about a Baptist church down the street that she thought was a cover for a cult. And yet, the whole time that I spent with that host family, I never saw my host mother pray or go to Mass, not even at Christmas or Easter. She never did anything particularly religious, except she read her horoscope every morning. It helped her decide what she was going to do that day, how she was going to dress, whether she was going to go out or stay in. So, is France a Catholic country? The answer to that depends on what you mean by Catholic country. Historically and culturally, yes, absolutely, France is Catholic. Catholicism helped to shape France as a kingdom and as a national identity. All the French kings were Catholic. Even Henry IV, he had to convert to Catholicism before he could become king. France has produced its share of popes and more than its share of Catholic saints. People you may have heard of like Denis and Martin, Genevieve, Remy, Joan of Arc. And there are more towns in France that are named after a Catholic saint than any other country in Europe. There are over 4,000 of them altogether. There are still 6 public holidays in France that are also Catholic holidays, including Pentecost Monday. There are more tourists that come to France every year than to any other country in the world. They line up to visit the Louvre, where they look at paintings of saints and scenes from the Bible. They visit churches like La Sainte-Chapelle in Paris, or Le Mont Saint-Michel in Normandy, or here where I live, Notre-Dame de Strasbourg Cathedral, the tallest in France. But when you look at the practice of religion day to day in people's lives, the Catholic religion has been losing ground in France for a long time. Take, for example, the percentage of the population that identifies as Christian. It's the lowest today that has ever been in France. So is the percentage of the population that goes to Mass at least once a week. The Catholic population is aging too. 28% of people over 65 would say that they're practicing Catholics, but only 8% of young adults would say so. The average age of a priest in France today is 75. By comparison, Christianity in the United States is also declining, but it's still pretty robust. Whether you look at the percentage of the population that identifies as Christian or the percentage of the population that attends religious services at least once a week, the United States is a much more religious place than France is today. Incidentally, there is one segment of Christianity in France that does appear to be growing, and that's evangelical Protestantism. If you want to read more about this, you can check out my book, Évangélique en Réseau. As the practice of Christianity falls, so too does a basic understanding of just what Christianity is. Fewer and fewer are able to recite the Lord's Prayer or to identify Christian symbolism in popular culture. I remember my own surprise a few years ago when we had a French babysitter come to watch our kids one evening, and she had no idea of the significance of a Noah's Ark Playmobil, not even after I showed her the pair of tiny giraffes. So, is Catholicism gone for good in France then? Well, not so fast. Depending on how you ask the question, somewhere between half and 2/3 of French people still say that they identify as Catholic. For a large part of the French population, the Catholic Church is still the church. Many French people, like my host mother, still feel a certain nostalgia for the Catholic Church, even if they don't go anymore. The pageantry, the history, the art. So they might still light a votive candle during a memorial service, or they might wear a cross necklace. But they might also tinker with bits of religious stuff that they get elsewhere, like wearing a crystal, practicing meditation, or even reading their horoscope in the morning. Lots of French people might miss some things about Christianity, but at the moment they don't really seem to want the church to come back. In our next video, we're going to look at another question about religion in French society, this time about the French concept of la laïcité.